evening and welcome to your most authoritative evening political show. We are coming to you from our studios in Abelenkwe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television as well as YouTube at Pan-African Television. Let me say a very good evening to all persons watching us on the 48 African countries where Pan-African Television is watched. You can join in the conversation, sending in your contributions. Text line displayed. We'll make a time and read all those up for you. You can as well, share the Facebook Live for other people to also get an opportunity to watch tonight's edition of the program. My name, once again, is Justice Appiah. Tonight on Hot News, we are looking at the 2022 budget deadlock. You know that yesterday, the minority group in Parliament voted. It wasn't yesterday, actually. It was on Friday to reject, the budget presented by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. But something interesting today, the group was also, unfortunately, the majority group was in Parliament. The minority group wasn't there. They also moved a motion to, approve the budget. Interesting times ahead. They are both claiming that the decision to reject or approve is unconstitutional and illegal. We'll delve deeper into some of these issues, but let's go and watch what happened on the floor of Parliament on Friday. The minority group rejected the budget. We'll be right back.
Now I proceed to put the question on the motion. The question is, those in favor of the approval of motion number 11 on the order paper, who says, and I read, that this Honorable House approves the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2022. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against the motion say no. Honourable members, clearly the noes have it. Is accordingly lost.
The minority group in Parliament was on Friday to reject the budget presented by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. And as at Friday, of course, the majority group was not in Parliament when the rejection was done. Today, they were also in Parliament. They moved a motion and, as a result, approved the budget that was rejected by the minority group in Parliament on Friday. Let's go and watch what happened today in Parliament.
Plus me, MP for the 138. Other members, for the avoidance of doubt, let me read out the constitutional requirement so that there's no confusion as to who can vote, what numbers are required to take a decision. 4.1. Except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting. The vote of the majority of members present and voting. Half of all members of Parliament present. means is that before you take a decision, there must be at least members present. With me, we have 138 members. That's a majority. It doesn't mean that all the 138 must vote yes or no. A majority of this 138, they are decided. So, I'll go ahead and put the question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Well, that was the majority group in Parliament today, moving the motion to approve the budget presented by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. After the approval, they have been speaking to the media. Let's go and listen to them.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, on such an important note of victory for democracy and the rule of law, let me not attempt to take the wind out of leader's sail. I humbly invite the only majority leader to address you. Thank you.
Members of the media, I think you just witnessed what happened in the chamber today, a response to what happened in the chamber last Friday. Because of that, over the weekend, and indeed this morning, we have been in consultation with our colleagues to enable us approach this outstanding in unison and in unity. Unfortunately, we got to some extent and we differed on two counts. One had to do with the e-levy matter, and the other to do with the procedure to attend to what we consider an impropriety about what happened last Friday. The House, as you do know, was purported last Friday to have taken a decision on the budget. It was to the effect that Parliament had rejected the economic policy and budget statement of the government for the 2022 financial year as presented to the House by the Minister of Finance on behalf of His Excellency the President on Wednesday, 17th November 2021. On our part, we considered it as a nullity because it did not meet the provisions of Article 104 of the Constitution, which is fortified by our own standing orders, Order 109. On these two counts, what was done, purportedly done, was in flagrant violation of our own orders and the Constitution. And we thought that as a House, we should come to some determination on this together. Because, colleagues, this is not the first time such a thing has come before the House. I refer us to something that happened during the day of the Honorable Do Ajaho as a decision has been made by and Ajaho, Right Honorable Do Ajaho, came with a statement.
The majority leader, Honorable Sir Chairman, some in the media, right there. But after all this, before, let me say before, you know, this noise surrounding the there has been a very profound one. The ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament. When we come back, he has joined us in the studio, and we will kickstart with a discussion. Let's go and listen to him. We'll be right back.
Dishonesty. Mr. Speaker, that is not enough. If you go to the 2021 budget, paragraph 996, Mr. Speaker, a number of health facilities have been listed in paragraph 996 of the 2021 budget as projects that they are continuing, Mr. Speaker. These projects have been listed in paragraph 1014 of the 2022 budget as yet to commence. Something that we were continuing in the 2021 budget, now in the 2022 budget, you are telling that you are yet to commence. Dishonesty. Mr. Speaker, the dishonesty in this government is becoming legendary, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and such, I will give examples of such projects. The Tema General Hospital, Shamal District Hospital, La General Hospital, reconstruction of Nkwaza Hospital, Accident and Emergency Center at Doma. Mr. Speaker, these projects were repeated in 2021 budget and 2022 budget with different captions, Mr. Speaker. And we cannot retrogress, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, again, after talking about Agenda 111, the expectation of every Ghanaian is that we will make plans to recruit more health professionals in the health sector. The Speaker, clearly it is missing in this budget. The Speaker, we will need specialists for the hospitals. The Speaker, it takes an average of 3 years to train a specialist. So your first budget at a cutting sword should give that direction. The Speaker, the worst form of it is that the total staff strength of the Ministry of Health in 2001 budget stood at 251,527. Now, after counting Agenda 111, that it should increase, the Speaker, it is now 203,000 people. It has reduced a difference of about 43,000. The Speaker, why are they doing? Mr. Speaker, 43,000 people have retired. Interesting. Mr. Speaker, again, the impression created at paragraph 1005 is as though Ghana has just discovered e-health. And we should allow our vice president to be touching everywhere that Ghana have just seen e-health. Mr. Speaker, I will prove to you and this House that the e-health was actually started by the visionary leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, the e-health was started in 2013, in 2014, and Mr. Speaker, in the 2015 budget, the minister responsible for health then, Honorable Setepe, had this to say. The Speaker, with your permission, I read. 2015, Minister for Health, Minister for Finance, had this to say. Paragraph 521. Mr. Speaker, the ministry through leader.
Right, that was the ranking member on the Health Committee, Honorable Winter Akando. He's joined us in the studio. Good evening.
Good evening, Justice.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome, Justice.
Right. Honorable, the minority caucus in Parliament on Friday voted to reject the 2022 budget statement presented by the Finance Minister. What are the bases upon which the minority rejected the budget statement?
Let me use this opportunity to thank you and say good evening to our cherished viewers.
Right.
And to state that the happenings in Parliament now is rather unfortunate. It is taking us back. And for me, today qualifies as one of the dark days in our democracy.
Right.
I always cite this example that we have two different types of, if you like, intelligent or wise people. One group thinks that they think that they will have to use their intelligence to help progress. The other group think that they will always have to use their intelligence to outwit others. Okay? For me, what is happening under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, okay, is rather unfortunate, to say the least. You know, at this point in time, the MPP is flouting the laws of this country with impunity.
Which of the laws
And you see, they think they are smart.
I see.
But they are not.
Okay.
You see, they always think that they are more human than any other person in this world. They think that what they see or what they understand the law to be is what the law ought to be. Because if it's not going their way, then it's bad.
I see.
If it is going their way, then it's good. Because it is only the MPP who will tell you that somebody who hasn't gone to the law school before, like Oseche Mensah Bonsu, who was not even part of writing the standing orders, now understands law than somebody like the Right Honorable Speaker Agban Babin, who in fact knows the genesis of these standing orders, who has been in Parliament more than any other person in this country. All of a sudden, because Oseche Mensah Bonsu belongs to the MPP, he understands the parliamentary proceedings and he knows law more than Oseche.
Which are the laws of this country?
I'm taking it one after the other.
Fantastic.
Now, let's deal with the substantive issues,
right,
before we come to the issues of procedure and the legalities. So I will divide the argument into two parts.
Very well.
What are the substantive issues and what are we talking about? What we're talking about is that the government presented the 2022 budget to Parliament. For me, my understanding of governance is that any decision you are taking is supposed to improve upon the standard living or the living standard of the citizenry. Now, when they presented this budget, there were a lot of draconian, decisions that were embedded in this budget. That is the most substantive issue. And if you do the survey, you will realize, or you come to the realization that the 2022 budget remains one of the most unpopular budget we have seen in the history of Ghana.
What makes it unpopular?
Now, there were measures like they were going to, impose what you call electronic transaction levy,
right?
The Momo tax. We made cogent arguments,
right,
to the extent that they were going to tax the old man who needs some money for, let's say, her medical bills. And so if I am in the city and I want to send some Momo to my grandmother in the village for some hospital, because if you go to other jurisdictions, the country takes care of these people. They call them senior citizens.
Right.
In fact, in some jurisdictions, they even give them some stipends at the end of every month. Now in Ghana, if you send money to your old man or your old woman, they are going to tax him or her. They are going to tax anybody who keeps money on his Momo wallet. And we have made several arguments that this is unconscionable. This is not right because you don't tax savings. You, the same people, have made a point that we must all encourage what you call cashless system. And so when you bring back these measures, you are going to discourage people from keeping their money or sending their money electronically.
Right.
Okay? So we made this argument, and Justice, we never ambushed them. Right from the one, when the budget was read, we had stated our position. Our minority that came out to say that on these issues, we will not agree. So that was one, the Momo. Okay. And I'll give you an example as far as the Momo transaction is concerned. For example, I gave this example on several platforms that somebody traveling from Seviyosu to Kumasi to trade will have two options: to keep his money or her money on him or her and travel by road. He will risk being attacked by armed robbers. The person decides to keep his money on his Momo wallet. Now, when he keeps his money on his Momo wallet, he also risks another armed robbers on the electronic highway, because government is going to take 1.75%.
Right.
We made all these arguments. And then the second one is that Ghana government, especially the President of the Republic of Ghana, on several occasions has sent, relief items or have assisted other countries when they have had disasters. But right at the back of us in Keta, they have had this disaster. We're inviting the president or the government to state that they were going to fix the Keta, sea defense.
Right.
Okay, that was one of our issues. Then we also said that, look, if you decide to reinstate or reverse the benchmark values, we are going to quadruple the hardships in the system, because at the end of the day, anybody importing will pass the cost to the final consumer. Okay? We also said that we do not want to, tolerate a Japan in any form or shape. We also stated that, you see, so we listed our issues one after the other.
Okay.
What we're expecting was that even during the debate, the minister or one of the minister for finance or one of his deputies will be present on the floor of the house to take our concerns on board. At some point in time, they were not at all. When we drew the first deputy speaker's attention to it, he said there was absolutely nothing wrong with it, and we proceeded. Okay? So, at the end of the day, we had to wind up our debate. The minority leader on our side stated all these positions I'm talking about in the course of winding up.
Okay.
The majority leader also winded up. Now, then the finance minister came in to make a statement or to pray that he comes to engage us.
Right.
Now, the speaker made it clear that it is long overdue. You should have started this, and in any case, you could have even consulted them before even putting this budget together.
But initially, that was part of your expectations, that either the deputy finance minister, any of them, would have been in parliament to take note of your concerns.
Fantastic.
Now the minister himself was in parliament. What
that was at the end of the debate.
Okay.
Okay, it was long overdue. In fact, we even had the opportunity to go for what we call post-budget workshop.
Right.
It was a clear opportunity for them to take advantage of. Okay, they ignored all these opportunities, come to the floor of the house to make a prayer. And in any case, that particular prayer they made didn't make sense. In fact, all the technicalities they were raising about the motion didn't make sense. It was a strategy to buy time, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Right. Okay.
Number one, I'm saying so because what was the prayer? The prayer was to come for the Mr. Speaker to give him the opportunity to come and engage us.
Right.
So Mr. Speaker said, look, it was long overdue. So at this point, I do not have the power to direct whether you should go and consult them or not. So let me put it to vote.
Okay.
When Mr. Speaker put it to vote, the noes have it. We recorded. We said we were not ready to engage him because, Justice, don't forget that at a point in time, he sat on TV and made a point that he knows how to get us to approve his budget for him.
I see.
Yes, clear. And people have the videos and recordings and what have you. So
what you did was a payback time?
Not a payback time.
Over the statement he made?
No, we thought that we were following procedure.
I see.
And so when the question was put and the noes carried the day, in any case, assuming without admitting that at that point in time when the question was put, the ayes have it, and he's been granted the leave to come and consult us, and he comes and we say we won't meet him, we won't consult him. Is it by force? So what was the essence of the motion? The substance or the issue about the motion was to come and engage us.
Right.
And on the floor of the House, we have registered that we were not prepared to engage him at that point in time because it was long overdue. Okay? And then, assuming that it goes through, and they say, go and meet them. And he comes and we say, we're not going to meet them. We're not going to meet him. What happens? So, it was just a matter of buying time. Justice, let me also say this, that on Friday, in fact, on Thursday, before the House was adjourned,
right,
we stated, Mr. Speaker stated that we were going to start sitting by 10 a.m.
Right.
So by 10 a.m., all of us, the 137 people on our side, were ready and seated. By 12:10, 12:20, none of the people from the majority side was seated. Around 12:30 thereabout, Mr. Speaker then came in to sit. Then the deputy whip from our side raised the issue that where are the majority people? They are the people in government. This is their budget, and we are here to cooperate with them, and they are not here. Mr. Speaker, where are they?
Right.
That was why Mr. Speaker said the clerk has drawn his attention that they were at a meeting and that they are seeking for 30 minutes. This while, there were 5 members on their side who were not in this country. Read my lips.
Who are those 5 members?
The Greater Accra Regional Minister was not in this country.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
The minister responsible for roads was not in this country. Awakata.
Right.
Honorable Adwasafu was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
Honorable Ahire was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
Honorable Kennedy Japan was nowhere to be found.
So 5. Okay.
These 5 people. And we all knew.
How did you know that those persons were not in town?
We are members of parliament.
Okay.
When they landed, people saw them. When they were being driven from the airport to the parliament house, people saw them. If you take our vote and proceedings, the records are clear.
Yeah,
and we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Right.
The records are clear that they had not been in the house consistently for some time. There was a trend.
Okay.
And so it was clear that they were not in the house. So at that time, we knew when they were arriving. So they were waiting. Instead of at 10 o'clock, we didn't say at 10. They were waiting for them to arrive. So when they arrived, Honorable Adwasafu was not part of the majority.
Okay.
Conspicuously missing. He was not there. Now, what if they decide to cooperate and go in for the vote on the motion on the budget?
Right.
In the worst case scenario, what will happen is that they will record 137 because Adwasafu was not there.
Right.
Because the speaker was also presiding.
Very well.
Then we will also record 137. Now, if you look at Article 104.
Right.
If you check Article 104, and with your permission, I read.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Now, if you check Article 104, it reads, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Then, if you check 1043, it also reads, where the votes on any motion are equal, it shall be taken to be lost.
Very well.
Right. Do you get that point?
Right.
Very good. What it means is that if it is 137, it means they have lost the motion, and then we'll reject the.
Right.
So the strategy was they were waiting for Adwasafu to arrive, or else they were finding means.
So there'll be 138, 137.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, or else they will have to make sure that we won't take the vote that day.
Right.
And they knew Mr. Speaker's itinerary was clear that the Speaker was also traveling during the weekends or on Monday. Okay, they knew. So what they did was that they had to challenge the Speaker's ruling on the voice votes.
Okay.
Okay, they did that. Per our rules, clearly, if you call for a division, if you call for a division, the rule says that they will have to clear the lobbies, and it is, I mean, they are all here.
Right.
You have to clear the lobbies and what have you. And even today, when they were even doing head counts, when they were even doing head count, the speaker presided, instructed that ministers who were not members of parliament should leave the chamber. Even head count, which is even not stated in our rules.
Okay.
Do you understand? And so, if you check the division, it is clear that we have to clear all this. Now, the argument was that not until I say Dunketia leaves the public gallery. And if you go to Order 7, lobby is clearly defined.
Well, before you go to Order 7, their argument, parts of, well, I mean, of course, part of their argument has to do with the fact that they didn't have any problem whatsoever if the minority, you had voted by saying no, and that the finance minister should leave the house. But the Speaker of Parliament didn't have that audacity or whatsoever to instruct the finance minister to leave the house.
Okay,
so they espoused
let's even follow their argument without admitting, assuming that is true without admitting.
Right.
Why did the first deputy speaker today, okay, sack all the ministers before the head count? Why did he do that? And to establish my point, if you check, this is what you call votes and proceedings.
Right.
If you check our votes and proceedings and you go to members who were absent and present, the present one is a very tall list. If you go to item 3, you can read item 3 for your listeners. Item 3, this one.
Right. So item 3 says the following honorable members, the following honorable member was absent with permission. Safo Sarah Adwa, is it Miss Domi Kwabenya, member of parliament?
Very good. This is what we call votes and proceedings. And so, per our records, what it means is that on Friday, there were 137 and we were 137. You understand? So, after challenging, I have never even seen this before, that after challenging the speaker's ruling, you decide to walk out. It's not done anywhere.
They walked out also because the finance minister wasn't treated fairly.
How wasn't finance?
He wasn't treated fairly because the Speaker of Parliament ordered the marshals to walk him out.
No, that was not what happened. What happened actually was that after the speaker has given the instruction or the order, the speaker said that any minister who is still in the chamber, he will then call the marshal to come and get them out.
Okay.
He didn't say the marshals to come and sack them or get them out.
If my producers have that video, kindly let's try.
So Mr. Speaker was only explaining the processes, and that is what is done. Our security on the floor of the house, they are called marshals.
Okay.
So if the speaker, I mean, just like the police implement implement the laws, if Mr. Speaker give instructions on the floor of the house, they are the people who should come in.
At what point are you supposed to call in the marshals?
That is by the discretion of the speaker.
Okay.
You understand? So when Mr. Speaker orders somebody to get out of the chamber and the person is resisting, but at this point, Mr. Speaker was only saying that if they don't get out,
he didn't make any attempt. That
because you see,
suggested that they didn't want to go out.
I saw that sign, because after Mr. Speaker had ordered that the ministers should take leave of us, they were still sitting.
I see.
They were still sitting.
How long did they sit?
Well, they sat until the noise began, and they started leaving the chamber. Okay. And so that was, when they left the chamber, and don't forget that the only thing, the only evidence to show the number of people who were present in the chamber, it's what we call the register, the vote of proceedings.
Of course. Yeah.
So on Friday, Justice, tell me the number of people who were present in the house on Friday.
All right. So on Friday, it's about up to here. That was 262, I guess. So Friday is up to this end. Is that not it?
Yes. So Friday is up to here.
So 274.
Yes.
All right. So 274 members of parliament.
Very good.
Were there
so on
Friday.
record, 274 members of parliament were present.
Right.
Okay. Their argument is that when they left the house, we didn't have the numbers to take a decision.
But did you have the numbers?
Yes.
Were you up to 138?
It is not about 138. It is either 138 or above. In actual fact,
no, let's refer to Article 1041 of the 1992 Constitution. It tells you the number of people who should be on the floor of Parliament at the time of voting. It talks about 138. Were you 138?
When we started the proceedings of the House, okay, they were all there.
Okay.
So it was in the course of the proceedings. And you see, don't forget that when a question is put, you have the option to abstain. You either vote for or against or abstain. If you don't want to be part of that decision, you can abstain. Okay? So the fact that you have walked out doesn't mean you didn't come to Parliament. You were not present. The fact that you walked out doesn't mean that you didn't come to Parliament.
So one can also say that they were not present at the time of voting.
That's what I'm saying, that we had already started the process.
Okay.
Okay? We had already started the process, and I've shown you this is the only document that anybody can tender in as evidence to show the number of people who were present on the floor of the House. You understand? And so, Mr. Speaker then went through the procedure, put the question, and then the budget was rejected. So the total number of members of Parliament who were present for business or before business commenced were 274.
Yeah, 274.
Okay, the 274, out of the 274, in fact, when Mr. Speaker put it to voice vote, as far as the rejection of the budget was concerned, nobody even responded aye. And so the noes carried the day. This is a democracy. This is democracy.
But they think otherwise. They think that what you did was unconstitutional, illegal, because you didn't have the numbers to reject the budget simply because you were 137 members.
I have explained to you.
You have explained.
Yes.
But
so
that is the argument.
Their argument cannot be the law. You see, they are behaving as though, what they believe the law should be is what the law ought to be. You can't live like that in a country. And Justice, let me tell you this. The posture of the majority, especially their leadership, or say Chairman Abunsu,
right,
is something that I think will not help government business in the chamber.
I see.
It's about time they realize that this parliament is not like any other parliament we've had in this country. This is a hanged parliament. So you always, almost all the time, will have to build what we call consensus.
Are you disagreeing with some legal luminaries like Isan Kuma and Dr. Osei Poku, who shared same opinions, same sentiments with regards to the law and what ought to be done in Parliament in terms of
that is their opinion. They've shared opinion. It doesn't mean that's a position of
they are lawyers. They were talking the law.
You think we don't also have lawyers on our side? In fact, if you count on both sides the number of lawyers, we have more lawyers than they have.
Right.
So if that is their opinion, fine. It's their opinion. And you know one interesting thing that happened today?
What happened?
Interestingly, the Chief Justice visited the Parliament today. All of a sudden, Chief Justice...
He was in Parliament?
He was in Parliament today.
I see.
In some quarters. We have a very interesting... In fact, he didn't come to... I can say on authority that he didn't come to the minority. I can say on authority that the Chief Justice didn't come to the minority. What did he come to do? It's a question we must all ask ourselves. You understand? And so, this is a procedure we followed.
But the Chief Justice has the right to go to
Well,
Parliament.
I have not said he doesn't have the right.
You have questioned his presence in Parliament.
I am only reporting to you that Justice, today, the Chief Justice was in Parliament. And I can tell you on authority that he didn't come to the minority.
Okay.
Have I said anything?
Not at all.
I mean, I am only telling you what happened.
Honorable
Justice.
You said yesterday in your press statement, responding to the majority, that they were trying to run away from their own budget and that they were irresponsible to show leadership, to have stayed on the floor of Parliament for the budget to be approved or disapproved. They think that, look, what was done on Friday, as a matter of fact, is one that is unconstitutional and illegal, and so they have decided to pass their budget today. Of course, they have engaged the leadership of both leaderships were in a meeting, a consultation or a consultative meeting today. What came out of that?
Well, so their egos were very, very high.
Their egos were high.
Yes,
How?
very, very, very high. They are not ready to respect our views. And we will continue to stand by the good people of this country.
I see.
We will continue. I mean, that we will not relent on those issues.
You have held a press conference today as well.
Yes, yes. And so
what really that what they also did
was illegal. It's a nullity.
I see.
And I will take them one after the other.
Well.
You know, we met them with all these issues I have narrated to you.
Right.
About the Keter tidal waves, about the
e-levy,
all these things.
And all those things, yeah.
So we thought that they will be humble enough to accept that, look, the budget has been rejected, and therefore, how, going forward, I mean, if we want to carry everybody along, so how do we do it? So we all share our opinion.
Okay.
Number one, my information indicates that the president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is not ready to accept that budget has been defeated. And therefore, they must insist that the budget has not been defeated. It's ego. Nothing by ego. If it is not ego, we were prepared to cooperate. They could revise the budget, come back, look at the issues we have put on the table, and we're ready to cooperate to fast-track the process.
But the issue of e-levy transaction, I mean the tax, the 1.75% tax on e-levy, the finance minister today insists that that is the only way to generate revenue for this country.
How can you say this? This is incompetence in the highest order. That you are now taxing savings. As far as I'm concerned, I thought we tax incomes and profits. That I have my money on my phone, and because you have managed the economy poorly, you then have to come into my savings. You have not done any work for me, and that I am not even using the money to pay for anything. You have to come and tax the money on my Momo wallet. That is the only way you can govern this country. You have no business being in government. You are not using your brains. What happened to moving away from taxation to production? What happened to it? What happened to from moving away from taxation to production? Were they not the same people who told us that we were sitting on money, and therefore when they are voted to the power, they will find the money and develop this country without imposing taxes and borrowing? Were they not the same people who told us that? So if today they turn around and come and tell us that without these taxes, they cannot govern this country, it tells you how poorly they have managed this country. And I can tell you, Justice, going forward, we are going to see more hardship. The hardship we are seeing now is going to quadruple. You understand? Now, they were not ready to admit, one, that the budget has been rejected.
Right.
They were not ready to relook at the issues we have put on the table. And you see, the difference between what we did today and what they did is clear. Number one, there have been instances on the floor of the House, especially during Professor Kwei's time, where our leaders had been on their feet and he has failed to recognize them to speak. And their videos abound. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we were not prepared to legitimize their illegality because I am speaking to you per the records.
Right.
And for you, this record tells you that there were 274 people who were in the chamber on Friday.
Yes.
Okay? But the records will not show. The records will only show 137 people in the chamber on Tuesday, today. You see the difference? So
137 or 138, because the argument is that
Okay.
they had 138
very good.
people
You see,
in parliament today.
so let me go there before I come back. These people, and I always tell you, they think that they are more human beings than any other group of people.
I see.
Okay? If you are seeking equity, you must do equity.
Right.
Okay? If you are going to equity, you must go with clean hands. Okay? You can't approbate and then reprobate.
Good.
Now, you think that we didn't have the numbers because we were 137.
Yes.
That was the argument, isn't it? Okay. Today, they did another count. And when they did the counting, you know what they did? Mr. Speaker announced that they were 137 plus himself. Can you imagine? That's what he
He's
did.
a member of parliament.
Okay. So, our standing orders is very clear on that.
Right.
So let's go to, I think, order 109. Let's check order 109 if it is there. Okay, so order 109, 2.
Right.
And listen. Mr. Speaker, order 109, Mr. Speaker shall have neither an original nor a casting vote, and if upon any question before the House, the votes are equally divided, the motion shall be lost. So, Mr. Speaker, and I'll go and show you the definition of Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Per this standing order.
Let's look at the definition of Mr.
Okay.
Speaker.
So, the standing order is telling us that Mr. Speaker doesn't have the voting right.
Vote. Okay. Right.
Okay. Now, if you go to order 7, and if you make any law, okay, there's a section we call interpretation.
Right.
So that is how that law wants those terms to be defined.
Okay.
So if you go to order 7, I believe is order 7, yes. Order 7, minority. Order 7. Okay. So if you go to order 7, speaker in inverted commas, or speaker includes a member presiding at a sitting.
Okay.
A member, and if you like, I'll give you for you to read.
Right. Okay. So it says speaker or Mr. Speaker includes a member presiding at a sitting.
So what was Joe Wise doing?
He was presiding.
He was presiding.
Right.
And the definition of a speaker is here. Per our standing orders. And he has told you what Mr. Speaker can do when he's presiding.
He doesn't have
The
a
law
vote.
says that he doesn't have the vote. So
Okay.
you cannot count yourself as people who have votes, or people who are present and they are ready to vote on a particular decision. So that's why I'm telling you that they can be professors or whatever, but they think that, in fact, the MPP man who has not even gone to class 1 before thinks that what he sees the law to be is what the law ought to be, or else it's unconscionable for Oteme Sabonsu to purport to know the law more than Abambabin. How will you understand? Look, the same parents will give birth to 2 children. You go to the same school, you will be in the same class. You can beat that person, but because when you leave school, because he joins MPP and you join NDC, he claims and he will purport to be more intelligent than you.
Right.
We have professors at our side, doctors, PhD doctors at our side, who have even lectured some of the people on their side in law. Yet they know the law more than the people who have lectured them. That's how they behave. That's how they behave. So what they did today, and that is one of the reasons why we were not part of today's sitting, because we are claiming that, and in fact that is the position of the standing orders and the law. We are saying that, look, we were 274 on Friday sitting.
Right.
Okay? So when we go, and look, I mean, they rehearsed whatever they were coming to do. They rehearsed what they did today was one of the options available to them. They rehearsed everything. We knew, and it has happened on the floor of the House before. We knew the Speaker was going to go blind after putting the vote, and then when there's misunderstanding, you are joining the House. You are there. You have been there. He has put the vote. He has ruled, and you have been part of it. Now, what our records will capture is that there were only 137 that took the decision. So what 137 cannot do, now 137 can do, because they are MPP and they are more human beings than we are. If you behave this way, how will you be able to carry the whole House along? And you need consensus. You see, I've always said that Oseche Mensah Bonsu could be a very nice minority leader in opposition. But he doesn't fit to be a majority leader, and a majority leader should be a leader of the House who will move government business with humility. The posture, the arrogance.
You think that he's not humble?
The arrogance, the posture. Look, admitting that the budget has been rejected is what has gotten us where we are. Now, there are a lot of decisions you require more than half of the House to be present before you can take. So going forward, what will you do? You will call for head count on every. Will it help your cause? In some cases, you know, and you can ask your reporters. In some cases, we don't even form a quorum. But not until any member of the House raises an issue of quorum, we proceed on government business.
Right.
And so, I don't know what they are looking for. I mean, our crime is that we are telling you that the decision you are taking is going to bring hardship to the good people of this country. Is that our crime? Is that our crime? Our crime is that there's a disaster in Kita. They need sea defense wall. Can you please look at it in your budget? Is that our crime? Our crime is that your reversal of the benchmark values will bring more hardship to the people in the country. Is that our crime? So they think they are smart. Politically, morally, they have lost everything. They have lost it. So they have come to reverse it and do. And so, what have you done?
So now, Honorable, we are at a deadlock. The minority side said that we had rejected the budget on Friday, and we are right. They are saying that, well, your decision was unconstitutional, illegal, and all of that. Prior to that, today, they had also passed, approved the budget and all of that. You're also saying the same thing, and all of you are quoting Article 104 and your standing order 109, to buttress, your points and all those things. Who is right and who is wrong, and what's the way forward?
So for me, as far as we are concerned, what they did today is a nullity, and we think we did the right thing. And this records tells you that what they were doing was booga booga, because they were 137 and we were 137. It tells you, it's clear.
In your press conference, you alleged that Honorable Justice Appiah was not in Parliament even today.
Well, we didn't say that. We didn't say that as part of our press conference. I do not want, because we are still doing our investigations.
Right.
And I do not.
I was about to ask you a question on that. Then, if you're saying that she was not there and as captured in the votes and proceedings.
This is Friday.
Yes, that was on Friday.
Yes.
I thought that you had alleged that in your press conference. I was about to ask that.
No.
How are you able to tell that today she was not there?
No. So that one, you leave it to us. We've not gone there so far.
Right.
There are people who think that the person who was purported to be Adwoa Safo was not Adwoa. I mean, I've heard this from this, but it was not part of our press conference today. We never said that, and if anything at all, we are looking into it. But Justice, I have taken my time to take you through the procedure and the legalities.
Right.
Both the substance of the issue and the legal procedure, we think that we are on the right path. But you see, whether or not you are on the right path or wrong path, the final thing or the most important thing is that ask yourself, the decisions you are taking, how will it inure to the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian? That is what is important. I do not want us, okay?
Right.
I do not want us to turn a blind eye to the substantive issue and play the legal gymnastics.
Right.
Okay? It is very important for us to put on record that, look, what they have done today, I mean, it's simple. That, look, you are bringing measures that will bring hardship to the people. We have stood by the people. We have drawn your, in fact, we will even go to the extent of drawing their attention to where they can get money rather than taxing Momo and what have you. They say they won't listen. This is what we want to do, and no matter what, this is what we will do. So it is clear. At the end of the day, and for me, these people, they don't respect the laws of the land.
Right.
Because you see, in this country, and DCs and MCs have been confirmed without the knowledge of presiding members. You understand? They don't ask for the law. They don't respect the laws of the land. But the good people, I think that every leader, every politician is accountable to the good people of this country. So everybody is watching. If you think that you are smart, and therefore, because you are smart, whatever has been done on Friday, yes, today, Tuesday, you have come to overturn everything, and so people should be clapping for you. Hey, then you are not smart.
So now
then you are not.
Finally, the noise on we have rejected it, the other side says they've passed it and all of that, or they have approved it and all of that. Now, what are the repercussions going forward? What does this mean?
I mean, yes, they will suffer non-cooperation. They will suffer non-cooperation, and it is not in their interest. Because they are not trustworthy. They are not reliable people. They are arrogant people. They are people you cannot trust. There are people who see themselves as superior human beings. There are people who think that whatever they know should be the order of the day. Any other person's opinion doesn't matter.
I see.
Yes. So that's how they are. And we will stand by the good people of this country, and we will insist that the right thing be done. Today, when the minister responsible for finance was winding up, he made mention of some concessions he's making, and there was no concession anywhere. They didn't read anything. They didn't make any amendment. The kind of things they are doing, they're the only people who understand what they are doing.
I see. And
so it's quite unfortunate our democracy, I mean, is descending into the gutters like this. I am very sad, and it is rather unfortunate that, I mean, people who think that they owe the country more than any group of people, and they are throwing their weights about, and they don't want to. In a democracy, even the small minorities matter. Everybody's opinion matter.
Right.
Okay, so you carry the people on board. We all, Georgia, there's something we call pre-budget engagement. You even have to meet civil society organizations, you meet groupings, and you factor their opinions in the budget. Left alone, a group like the NDC half of parliament, 137 people, and you are 137 as well, and the independent candidate has decided to do business with you.
Right.
So you will not consider our views in the budget, a document that is supposed to be for all of us as Ghanaians. You know, so the position they have taken, I must be very honest, and even the neutrality of, for me, I am not too surprised about what happened today, because the neutrality of Mr. Speaker who sat today, Honorable Joe Osei-Usu, was questionable. And it was questionable because, for me, even when they walked out and organized a press conference, he was seated there right in the press conference. When they were espousing their position as far as their boycott was concerned.
Right.
And if you watch the videos, for me, the last person I saw OPK that first timer who instructed them to leave the chamber, the last person he spoke to before taking that action was the first deputy speaker.
I see.
Yes, he was the first. I was looking at him. He was the first person. He was the last person he spoke to. And after speaking to him, he came to order everybody to leave the chamber, and they all left the chamber. Doesn't it? I mean, doesn't it surprise? Doesn't it surprise you to hear or to see a first timer instructing people who have been more than 24 years in the house to leave, and they are all following? Don't you ask yourself a series of questions?
Well,
so it's a well rehearsed, and they go to that point and realize that, hey, we are 137. So if you go in for any vote, and per the law, the position of the law, Article 104,
right,
if we tie, they have lost the motion. They have lost it. But you see, as any leader in this country, you owe the good people of this country at least, you should be very candid to the people of this country.
Right.
You should be truthful, and you must let them see you as somebody who is genuine. Okay? But don't play like, oh, I am a smart person, and so I'm going to actuate the people, and so I'm being smart in technicalities, and therefore I can have my way. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Honorable. We are so grateful for it. I think our time is up. But let me ask this final question. They also think that just like you've accused the first deputy speaker who sat in today for the speaker, that he was partisan, he also said same to the Honorable, Right Honorable Speaker Abambagwin, that his decision on Friday was quite partisan.
You see,
your response to that, then we go.
You see, Justice, for me, I get sad when they begin to talk like that. And I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker really cooperated with the majority on Friday.
I see.
I'll tell you why. I told you that we were supposed to start sitting
at 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. He came around. Mr. Speaker came around 12:30 thereabouts.
Okay.
When he even came, he said they are seeking permission for 30 minutes. When indeed we all saw that those people had not arrived in the chamber, the 30 minutes tend to be more than 2 hours to 3 hours. So when you turn round, because we all know, if you check their passports, you check their traveling documents, and people saw them, they were testing it right from the airport. People were sending us messages. People saw them. They traveled with people. People even took pictures of them when they were traveling, and they were sending it to us. So when the speaker has cooperated with you to this extent, and you turn back to tell us that the speaker is being biased, it's your own problem. It's your own problem.
Right. Thank you so much for coming, Honorable. I'm so grateful for your time.
I'm also grateful.
So time will allow us on the program for tonight. You've listened to the ranking member on the Committee of Health in Parliament. I think we'll get a time to discuss the budget in itself on health. I think that's the next discussion that probably we'll be having the next time. If the allocations and all of that for the health sector is one that is enough, and of course, will deal with the needs of the sector. But make a time with us same time tomorrow. My name is Justice Appiah, and the show has been Hot News. Goodbye.